Have you ever stopped to think about how one group of animals came to, well, basically run the entire planet? Today, we are diving into the absolutely wild story of mammals, how they went from hiding in the shadows to ruling every single corner of the globe. This is the story of the unlikely rulers.
It really is one of the greatest comeback stories in the history of life. I mean, how did mammals, these creatures that started out so small, so seemingly insignificant, end up in charge? That's the big question we're tackling today.
And to really get a sense of the sheer scale of this takeover, just look at this. On the left, you've got one of our earliest known ancestors, the Morganucodon, from way back in the Triassic. This little guy weighed less than a golf ball. And on the right, the blue whale, the largest animal to have ever existed on Earth. The journey from that tiny shrew-like creature to a literal giant is just mind-blowing. So, what was their secret weapon?
It all boils down to what you could call an evolutionary success kit, a set of revolutionary adaptations that gave them an incredible edge. Let's open up this toolkit and see what's inside.
Okay, the first and maybe most important tool, being warm-blooded. This was an absolute game changer. Think about it. While cold-blooded reptiles had to slow down when it got cold or dark, mammals had their own internal furnace. They could hunt at night, they could live in colder climates. It opened up a whole new world for them, letting them operate when and where their competition just couldn't.
And here's what's so cool. All these traits work together. That warm-blooded engine needed insulation, right? Well, that's where hair and fur come in. Mammary glands, the very thing that gives us the name mammal, provided superfood for their young. And get this, those three tiny, super-sensitive ear bones, they actually evolved from bones that used to be part of the jaw. It wasn't just one thing. It was this entire interconnected package of superpowers.
So with this toolkit in hand, once the dinosaurs were out of the picture, mammals didn't just survive. They exploded. It was the beginning of a total planet-wide takeover as they adapted and diversified to conquer every environment you can imagine. You see, their warm blood, their fur, their advanced senses, these were like a set of master keys that unlocked every single habitat on Earth, from the highest peaks to the deepest parts of the ocean.
On land, they became absolute masters of speed and power. I mean, just look at the cheetah. It can hit 70 miles per hour. That is the pinnacle of running, a predator perfectly engineered for the chase.
But they didn't stop at the shoreline. In the oceans, they went to the most extreme depths. A sperm whale can dive nearly 10,000 feet down and hold its breath for 2 hours. It took that basic mammal blueprint and pushed it to an incredible, almost unbelievable limit. And then there's the sky. While a few mammals could glide, bats went all the way. They became the only mammals to ever achieve true powered flight. So, there you have it. Land, sea, and air. A total conquest.
Okay, so plains, oceans, the night sky. Pretty impressive. But what happens when you take that mammal toolkit to the most brutal, the most punishing places on the entire planet?
This is where it gets really clever. Take the polar bear in the Arctic. Sure, it has the thick fat and fur you'd expect, but the real genius is in the details. Its skin is actually black to soak up as much heat as possible, and its fur? It's not white, it's transparent and hollow, which traps air for even more insulation and acts like tiny fiber optic tubes to pipe sunlight right down to its black skin. It's a masterpiece of biological engineering.
This incredible adaptability led to thousands and thousands of amazing species. But the story of one mammal, in particular, was about to change the world forever. Let's talk about us, Homo sapiens.
For millions of years, the name of the game was adapt or die. You changed to fit your environment. But one primate, with its giant brain and nimble hands, started playing a whole new game. Instead of just changing itself to fit the world, it started to change the world to fit itself.
And a huge turning point in this new strategy was domestication. Around 9000 BC, we started with sheep, and then came pigs, cows, goats, and dogs. This was more than just taming animals. This was a fundamental reshaping of our relationship with the rest of the mammal kingdom.
And that partnership, it changed everything. Suddenly, we had a reliable source of food, clothing, and power. It was the engine that ignited the agricultural revolution, it allowed our cities to grow, and it ultimately set us on a path to reshape the entire planet.
But all of this unprecedented success has come with a heavy price. Our story now has to take a more serious turn as we look at the consequences of being the planet's top mammal.
Right now, scientists recognize about 5,416 different species of mammals. From the tiniest shrew to the biggest whale, it's an incredible display of diversity.
But here's the tough part. How many of those very species are now in serious trouble because of the actions of their most successful relative, us?
And this chart really lays it all out. While it's good that most species aren't threatened yet, look what happens when you add up the other slices. You see that a huge chunk of our fellow mammals are in real danger. To put a hard number on it, that's more than 1,000 species at risk. And the reasons why are almost all linked back to us. We're cutting down their forests, polluting their homes, and hunting them illegally. And the warning from the experts couldn't be more blunt. A United Nations report stated that we could lose nearly a quarter of all mammal species from the face of the Earth in just the next 30 years.
Which brings us to one last really big question. The story of mammals is our own family story. Their success led to our success. So now, as the undisputed top mammal, what is our responsibility to all the others that share this amazing heritage with us? That's something we all have to think about.